Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Trimco 1065CD 619 sliding door lock for 1 3/8 to 1 3/4 for connecting doors. And the fact that it is a connecting door lock is certainly a bit unusual in the sense of its function, where it has trim that will allow you to lock and unlock it from either side. Okay. There are times when a connecting door lock would be very appropriate, and I'm removing it from the packaging. Sorry about the trouble here. Yeah. So it's unusual in the sense that it has your active trim on both sides, your connecting door type of function. This is in the 619 finish, which means, well, if it's 619, that means three things. It means it's made of solid brass, it's a satin nickel plated finish with a lacquer applied, and that sheen that you see on there is indeed the lacquer. Very nice, attractive satin nickel finish. Okay, if it's Trimco, that means you're going to get a good fit and finish out of something, and that's all but guaranteed with Trimco. Okay, now this is going to include the strike plate that you will need. I'm going to pull this out of the packaging. And it does install with the prep biased towards the top so that the hook can approach from the top and then settle down in at the bottom, because the hook needs to come and then settle down. So this will be biased. We'll go over the installation instructions. Then we have here the 4 screws that you'll need. Well, actually, let's take a closer look at this. Yeah, you'll have your screws for installing this material without any trouble. Okay, let's take a closer look at that connecting function. Now, when it comes to pocket doors or sliding doors, there are different functions of these. There's just a passage, which is basically these two, which would be a scalloped blank area on both sides. So you just to get your hand in and pull the door. And then it will also have an edge pull as well. A privacy is going to be the same gizmo thumb turn on one side, but it will have like a coin release on the other side, or an emergency coin release, meaning something like a coin can throw that. Well, then you have the connecting or maybe communicating door. Connecting would be appropriate, not communicating. Although it could be communicating, I suppose, if you had a key on both sides. Which you would, but in a connecting door scenario, I think of connecting as a residential term, and communicating being a more commercial term. Communicating would be in a hotel where you have 2 suites that can be connected together through the communicating pair of doors that are there. Connecting doors would be, of course, 2 rooms that are joined by or have in common a door, and where you would have each room would have an individual exit. Okay, so an application like this would simply be a Jack and Jill type of bathroom arrangement. 2 bedrooms that will share a common bathroom. You can put a connecting unit on both, which means that you can have privacy from either side, but you can also unlock it from either side, is why that would be. If you had and it's very common, if you had a pair of 2 bedrooms that share a communicating common bathroom, you have sliding doors going into each. If you had standard privacy, the person on bedroom A goes into the bathroom, throws the privacy so that bedroom B cannot get it, but then the occupant of bedroom A physically leaves. Now, the occupant of bedroom B cannot get into the bathroom because they may or may not be able to get into bedroom A to get into the bathroom, to unlatch it, then go back out and around into their bedroom. So that's why you would see a connecting function. They're not really common at all, but they do exist. And they are certainly more expensive, and it's because they're basically taking 2 privacy sets, throwing out half the parts, and then putting them together to make a connecting unit. So that's what this is. Now there are, first of all, sliding doors or pocket doors. A pocket door will go into a pocket, and that's a reasonable way to use that term. A sliding door can go into a pocket. It can also be surface mounted. It could be a door on an aircraft hangar. That door slides. The term pocket, however, can mean something very different. When you're in a hospital, when you're walking down a corridor, you'll very often have pairs of doors. Well, those pairs of doors will be hung on what is still called and was originally called a Harmon hinge. They're also called pocket door hinges. They don't slide, they swing. But the purpose of them is that the vertical axis of pivoting is such that when that door opens to 90 degree, because the vertical axis of pivoting is out away from the face of the well, it's down in the center of the frame, but it's back to the outside of the plane of the door. So when the door gets to 90 degrees, the door physically moves out of the opening of the frame, so that if you measured the distance between the stops as you go through the frame, those doors are moved out and don't encroach into that space. That's a pocket hinge, or a Harmon hinge they're also called, if you looked up the term Harmon hinge. But if I said a pocket door, I may not be meaning this type of door. I might be meaning this. So that term can be used, and Trimco uses the term sliding door. And that would make sense to me. Trimco being a company around for several decades, they're probably going to say pocket doors are the hospital type and sliding doors would be a better way to call that. Now, you don't bump into pocket doors in hospitals very often, but you bump into them enough that they are certainly out there. And they serve a very nice purpose because of the fact, and here in town there's a hotel that has pairs of doors on these pocket or Harmon hinges, and they're really nice because they give a nice clean look. When you look down the long hallway, and those doors are open and out of the opening, you don't look down and see the butt edge, the butt style of a couple of doors. It's also nice because it will take your surface applied hardware like surface vertical rod exit devices or concealed vertical rod, less bottom rod, and that moves that hardware out of the opening even further because it will encroach into the space quite a bit. So that Harmon or pocket hinge is great because it gets the door out of the opening. It's like a swing clear hinge, is basically the same type of function, but Harmon hinges are elegant because they're very concealed. You don't see them at all when the doors are closed, and you really can't see much evidence of them when the doors are open. If you know what you're looking for, you know what a Harmon or pocket hinge looks like, but they're super, super, super elegant. They're also nice to hold better. They would be capable of carrying better load because that swing clear hinge with that bent angle on the hinge and moving that axis of pivoting out further, that all of that metal wanting to bend towards the center of the opening. That's not the case with a Harmon hinge. Anyway, now back to a residential application. So this 1065 communicating door, or CD, this is in a 619, we talked about that. Overall height about 2 3/4, overall width about 2.5. There are two attributes that you have to select. We need to know the door thickness, number one. There's a pin that's right at the tip of my finger that goes through these two mechanisms, okay, so that when I turn my handle, that pin is of adequate length to account for how far I spread the plates out. You have to tell us 1 3/8 or 1 3/4 because the length of that pin is going to change if it's 1 3/4. This client, I can look at this and know it's 1 3/8 because I know the length of that pin by sight, and this is definitely 1 3/8. Then you have to tell us the composition of the door and frame. Believe it or not, this client ordered a application that had a wood door with a metal frame, so a machine screw on that. Okay, so you have to tell us wood door, wood frame. It's a wood door, wood frame. We know that, but tell us because I don't want the factory sending you machine screws when you don't need machine screws. We want to declare that to them. Now there are several links listed down below. A lot of it will be we'll go through very quickly. Installation instructions are included, and we'll look at these. These are from 2005. This hardware does not change often, that's to be sure. There's also another document, a more current version of the installation instructions that we can take a look at. So let's switch to the screen view and take a look at all of that. Okay, so this is the item that we're looking at. Little line art drawing here. Communicating door, satin nickel plated, that's $619. Extended description information down below. Let's take a look at the finishes that are available or listed for this product. $499 is a unlacquered polished solid brass. $605 is the same thing but has a lacquer on it. $606 is satin brass. $609 is antique brass. $610 is a polished antique brass. That's a pretty unusual finish. $611, polished bronze, beautiful finish. I wish that was out there a lot more than it is. Satin bronze is $612. $613 is oil rub bronze. $616 is blackened satin bronze. I'd say an antique satin bronze. $619, satin nickel. $620 is antique nickel. $622 is black. $625 is polished chrome. $626 is satin chrome. So lots of fun finishes there. Being Trimco, they can certainly accommodate different requests for finishes. I don't think you can powder coat this because it has moving parts. The Trimco 1064CD series, classically designed for pocket doors. It's a common, combination edge pull privacy function with a notched pocket. And I'll show you that on the installation instructions. Perfect for closets, hallways, bedrooms, bathrooms. Indeed, any opening that's not obligated to be handicap compliant. Has an integrated edge pull, enables easy access when the door is closed into the pocket. The privacy version adds a appropriate function for bedroom and bathrooms, as does the communicating function or connecting function. The privacy has that emergency turn button, pre-assembled at the factory. Easy to install and are available in a variety of architectural finishes. So again, you have to tell us how thick is the door. The sizing, the finish, field reversible. You can literally pull those parts, remove the screws and turn the pieces over, and it's possible that you'll have to do that because if the door was left hand and you turned it around 180 degrees, it would then be either upside down or it would be appropriate for a door that would have the privacy requirement on the opposite side of the opening. Built-in edge pull. Hook on the edge, thumb turn, if it's a privacy or connecting. Simple turn of the thumb turn to the horizontal position secures the door. And you know what, if you're in that Jack and Jill bedroom scenario, if it's in the horizontal position, you know it's locked. So, you can visually tell. Pre-assembled for 1 3/8, 1 3/4 only when it comes ordered appropriately. Used in a variety of different applications. Again, not handicap compliant. Product catalog. Let's go through these links that are here as quickly as we can. The product catalog simply shows you those items, those related items. The passage version. Sliding patio lock. This would mean that it was a blank on the outside, only a thumb turn on the inside. You might have a pair of biparting sliding doors, where on the inactive door or the door that doesn't have the privacy, you want something matching because you don't want to install this in the edge of both doors because you'll need room for a strike. So just dummy trim on one door. The issue with that is you're going to have to come up with some sort of an edge pull. You will need to think about how you'll get that inactive door out of the pocket. Or you could just use 2 of these if you like the look with a typical 1030 edge pull. The 1065 is the privacy function and then the connecting door function. Okay. More material here. If you need to do handicap compliant versions, the 1069 series, of which that has evolved into new part numbers today, is available as well. Template. This is the installation instructions that are more current, the 2008. And we'll jump over these. We're going to look at the installation instructions that actually were packaged with this. Cut sheet is here. That's just going to be the same information we just looked at in terms of the product catalog, except that this is certainly more current, up to date. I am imagining that the copyright 2017, that original product catalog from Pemco, that's definitely not current. Still valuable information naturally to have there. Policy regarding available finishes, that's just going to be a blanket document. Gives you an idea of what finish codes are. You can refer to that should you need to. Product maintenance is the same thing in the sense that it just gives you an idea of how to go about servicing your finishes. Handing chart does not apply to this. Interesting. I believe this is a Rockwood handing chart. Now, a handing chart when it comes to doors, to sliding doors, I can get you to one. In our website under Contact Us currently, then under Video Gallery of all places, scroll down to page 2, and then on page 2 I know that there's a handing chart. Trimco sliding commercial door handing chart. There you go. Pretty easy. If you really want to take that easy definition and make it complicated, look at the Atom automatic door sliding chart. Okay. Now, the installation instructions that I have referred to. And the 2005 installation instructions are what came with it, and they are linked to down below. They're just not linked there during the creation of this video. This is pretty awful. It shows the notch. Yeah, let's switch back to the 2008 version. The information will be the same, but let's look at it clearly. I think that was called template. So when they say a notch, you're literally going to create a 2 1/4 inch tall by 1 7/8 inch deep notch, a square notch in the door. You don't have to worry about that being a very square corner there. It's just not necessary because the back side of this hardware is not going to require that sort of tolerance. So what I'm saying is with your router, you will be able to, a template and then a plunge router, you'll be able to leave that 1/4 inch radius here and here without any trouble. So cut the notch. Before you cut the notch, you'll probably want to take an audit of the rest of the doors in the space to be sure that you're installing the material at a compliant height, or at least a height that would prove to be compatible with the balance of the hardware. You may have a very long hallway, and you certainly don't want to have the visual appearance of hardware being installed, out of context with the rest of the hardware. If you're doing this in a house, take a look at everything else and just match that, floor to center line prep. That would be most appropriate. So once you have the notch prepped, you'll put this over the unit, and then the 2 screws will go through those open holes, and that's how you attach it. And then at that point, you're literally done. You'll certainly have to adjust the 2 screws that are here and here to open the unit up to slide over your door, and then you'll tighten them down. Now, the strike preparation. What you'll end up doing with the strike preparation is, and you can somewhat vaguely or faintly tell that that's biased towards the top, you literally take the strike and you match it up against the edge preparation. So this strike has a definite height, and I believe that height, well, I don't know, I'll just measure it. Yeah, it's 2 1/4, okay? If you were to look at the height of the unit here and here, well, that matches 2 1/4. So you literally take this 2 1/4 and you flush it even to the top and bottom of the prep in the door. That's where you mark on the frame. The reason that's okay is because that hole is biased towards the top, and that hook comes out biased towards the top as well. They want you to mortise 3/64 of an inch deep. You'll drill a 15/16 hole 1/2 inch deep to receive the hook. You'll mortise that out very slightly, 3/64, so very, very shallow mortise. And then you'll pre-drill your holes. That's at least as important as everything else. If you're going into a softwood material, you can probably pre-drill that at about 80% of the diameter of the root of the screw. And if it's hardwood, I'd probably kick that up to 85%. And then a description of functions down here, which is nice. Followed up with page 2. And that's that pin I referred to. They call it a rocker pin. Now, if you order these for 1 3/8 and they're actually 1 3/4, technically you can reach out to us and we can order from Trimco the longer rocker pins, because that's really the only thing that changes. The length of these screws do not change when your door thickness goes to 1 3/4. Okay. And if you did just that flush pull only, that's what you're looking at in terms of a prep. It's a very handy document. Now, speaking of handy documents, there's a link here to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Trimco products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog here, and then their architectural product catalog, which will be a focus on specialty door pulls. Let's wrap up this video on camera. So what I was referring to earlier is that you simply you don't have to measure anything, just line it up just like that, and then mark your frame, and that's where you'll mortise for that strike. Okay? Very simple and straightforward. The name Trimco is synonymous with very high quality trim and auxiliary builders hardware, and has been for several decades. There are new, maybe, I don't remember the year, 2016, 2017, 2018, whatever the year was, new ownership at Trimco. In my estimation, a learning curve was happening. They relocated Trimco, which I could only imagine how grueling that would have been, knowing what it's like to move a shop that has very large machinery. It's grueling, but they have really found their stride. And one thing that's been preserved is that when the hardware comes and I see it, the fit and finish is always exceptional. Trimco has a tremendous command over the finish process, especially your polished brass. When you unwrap that material to review it, it literally smells as if they were polishing it until the very last moment when it was packaged to be shipped to you. So they do a great job. They are focused on being a leader in the trim and auxiliary department, part of the industry. Their catalog would show you some very unique solutions as well, and I would recommend that you review that. The one that comes to mind, well, I was going to say, they have, for exit devices, they have an emergency trim, an emergency release that will allow you to, if the device is dogged, to go up to the end cap and push the end cap, and it will remove the dogging just like that. That application is obviously for a school lockdown. You can walk up to the exit device, you don't need a key, you push the end of that, the device is dogged. And then of course they're leaders in handicap compliant sliding door, pocket door hardware. If you have any questions on the Trimco 1065CD in a 619 finish or any other Trimco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you very much.